Hi everyone, today I'm doing a big carnivore meal prep without any beef. I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share keto and carnivore recipes and other cooking ideas that have helped me to lose almost 140 pounds. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you check out some of my other videos. And for those of you that are back, welcome back. I hope you like today's video. Okay, if it looks like there's a lot going on here, it's because there is. I'm doing a big meal prep today. I'll just cover what I'm going to make, but first I'll tell you why I'm not doing any beef. I am shopping from my freezer. So far this month, I have not bought a single item of meat. I have found everything I've cooked and eaten in my freezer or in the cans of sardines, whatever, anything like that. The only thing that I've had to buy is eggs and that type of thing. So today I am going to make a pork loin. I'm going to put that in the sous vide. This is about 3 pounds, and I measured it for the timing of the sous vide. I think it was 3 inches. It's going to go in there for 3 hours. I'm going to make little mini meat bread toasties, and the reason I'm going to do the little ones is because I'm making a charcuterie board to take to kind of a gathering of other keto and carnivore people on Monday, and I want to have those little toasty things. You'll see what I mean when I get there, but that's that. And then I'm also going to make a couple of platters full of chicken skins and also save some of these for my charcuterie board for Monday. So as I do each thing, I will go over what I'm using for what, but I want to get started with the pork loin first because it will take the longest to cook, and then while it's doing its thing, I can do these other things. So this is it here. Now I want to point out, because this has happened to me before I knew better, the pork loin is not the same as pork tenderloin. They sound the same. They look very similar. Pork tenderloin, though, is usually more of a long strip. It's at least a third of the size of what you see here. It's like a long tender strip. It only takes an hour and a half in the sous vide when I make it in there. So that's really the main difference. It's more tender, it's smaller. Other than that, you can kind of use it the same. This is not as tender as the pork tenderloin, which kind of makes sense because of the name, but also very good. I love using this cut to make dehydrated meat chips. It's one of my favorite. However, I'm moving and the dehydrator is already packed, which is like, but it is what it is. Got to do these things. So I'm going to start just by seasoning it. And I have my white pepper and Redmond salt mix. I usually use a 3-to-1, 3 part salt, 1 part pepper. So I'm just going to sprinkle a teaspoon on. Season it well, because when you sous vide, you tend to lose a lot of the spice flavor, whatever we want to call it. You really want to get a lot of it in there. So I'm going to put a little bit more on this side. Okay, I'm just going to get my bag and get the sous vide. We'll be switching cameras to over here so that you can see how I'm going to put it in there. Okay, so we're over here. This is, I've started this up. I'm setting it to 144 for 3 hours. It has to come down a bit in temperature because I added in some hot water to some cold water to try to speed up things. And it's 1 degree too hot. Although, okay, so there it is. It's pretty much ready to go. But I wanted to talk about the bags for a quick sec. Normally, I like to use the silicone bag in the sous vide, which they're very handy. However, this is my biggest one, and it's not quite big enough to fit that in there. So I am going to use this Ziploc bag. These are, I always get the ones that are heavy duty, BPA free. I know some of you are horrified and won't do it, but I actually am okay with it. So we're gonna go with it because it's the only way I can do it today anyways. So here we go. Just going to put it in, and I'm going to try to squeeze out as much air as I can. And I have a couple of clips here that I will use to anchor it to the side of this pot. This pot is the inner liner of my Instant Pot. You can use any pot you like, that as long as the circulator wand can fit to it. Also make sure you use a trivet underneath so that you don't burn a hole in your counter. Not that this gets very hot, but it does get pretty hot. Okay, I'm going to put it in here now. And so the weight of it kind of sinks down, and I think I have the air out. So I'm just going to clip it in place here. You want to get as much air out as you can. So I'm just going to smooth those wrinkles a bit, and maybe I'll add one more clip.
Hope you're not able to see inside my junk drawer here.
This is going to go for 3 hours, and I will bring you all back over to the counter. We'll get started on our little meat toasties. Okay, so I'm going to make the little meat toasties. I started to tell you before about the shopping from my freezer, and I have not had to buy any meat all month. I do have lots of beef left in my freezer. The reason that I'm only shopping now for non-beef items for the next 2 weeks is that I've decided in June I'm going to do beef or other ruminants like lamb only for 30 days because I've had some flare-ups of a couple of issues that I feel like I need to do an elimination. So I'm saving all the beef for June, moving in July. So I want that freezer to be completely empty. I don't want to pay movers to move, groceries basically. So that's why for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to focus on using as much as I can of the pork, chicken, fish, whatever I have in there. So this is 1 pound raw weight of beef and pork combined. And I don't know what the net weight is. It doesn't matter. Just for this recipe, just buy 1 pound of any type of ground meat, whatever you like. It can be anything. And cook it, drain off the fat. You can save the fat for another use. You don't want to keep it in this recipe. You want this to be a little drier. And whatever the yield is, it will work just fine. So I am using that. I'm going to use a pinch of Redmond salt. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 6 large eggs, and I'm going to use the Carnivore Crisp flour. I am so excited that they're shipping it in these bags now. Not only is it easier to scoop and measure, because the shipping of the jars costs so much money, what they've decided to do is increase the amount in here. So now you get 6 ounces of the flour, and they've kept the price the same. So you get to take advantage of some of their shipping cost savings there, which is kind of nice. I do have a link for 10% off. I'm going to link that below if you're interested. Now, if you do not want to get the Carnivore Crisp flour, this will also work with pork rinds. This is where I was inspired to make this recipe from Courtney Luna's, her recipe where she used the pork rinds. And I'm going to link that down below. And I made a full loaf of this same bread, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I'll link that below as well, because today I'm going to make these 2 little mini loaves for my charcuterie board. So we need to start first by blending up all the ingredients. Oh, this reminded me, I just wanted to mention, because I've had so many people asking, can you make your pasta noodles with the Carnivore Crisp flour? my famous pasta noodles. I'm gonna link that below. Yes, you can. Look at these. I made these last night. And actually, I think they're tastier than the way I made them, I have to say. So I have already changed my printable recipe card from my website to give the variation, because right now the recipe uses pork rinds. I have changed that card to give the variation for using the flour. You only need to put in 2 or 3 tablespoons of the flour. You get your noodles. Yeah, so yes, the answer is a resounding yes. Let's get back to this. I'm going to use this blender. This is a Ninja hot and cold blender, by the way. I've had a lot of people ask about it. The only thing is, because the reason I don't provide a link for it is because it seems to only be available in Canada. I think it's a discontinued model. So just any big blender will do. I am putting in 6 eggs, large. Going to put in the meat, and I think I'm going to use the chicken breast flour and save the beef flour for next month when I'm doing the beef only. Going to use 6 tablespoons. Last time when I did this recipe, 6 tablespoons is about 42 grams, for those of you that like to measure that way. And my teaspoon of baking soda. I did have some people ask if you have to use baking soda. I don't really know. I was just going by Courtney's recipe. I think she was a professional cook, so I was kind of following her lead because I'm not. Maybe there's another thing, maybe baking powder. I just don't know. That was a pinch of Redmond's. Let's move these things here. And I'm going to start the blender. Okay, I'm going to set this to blend on high. Okay, so that went for about 30 seconds or so, and then it stopped. And I think that's just because it's a very thick mixture. And this may, in fact, be enough. You just want it to be as smooth as you can get it. And that's what gives you that bread-like texture. I'll just see if it'll go anymore. And if not, that's fine. We'll go with that. Yeah, it went for 36 seconds. So let me see. I think we're just going to end it because it does not want to spin anymore. So let's just go with that. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to bring my air fryer over here because yes, I'm going to make these in the air fryer. Okay, I'm going to set my air fryer on bake and I want it to go for 30 minutes at 400. Of course, you can do this in the oven if you like. I just like cooking as many things as I can in here. So these are, I should have measured this. On the inside, 2.5 inches by 5.5 inches. I bought them because they fit my old air fryer perfectly side by side, which was more square, but they also, of course, fit in here as well. So I really like using these for other things too, like when I made the creme brulee and the mini toast, perfect size for that. So let's get this in here. I'm just basically going to divide it as evenly as I can between the two. Okay, these are ready to go in. I'm just going to, oh, I have my air fryer. I should have checked that. I just want the roasting pan. I don't need to have an extra pan in there. So these are going in for 30 minutes at 400, just the same as a big loaf. I found that worked well. So there we go. And while that's cooking and the pork loin is cooking, we'll get the chicken skins ready. Okay, we're going to do chicken skins. I'm going to bake crispy skins. I have 1.5 pounds of chicken skin here. Now, where do I get those? The butcher shop. So here locally, I went to the butcher shop in Langley called Heritage Butcher near Willowbrook there. And I just went to the back counter. I asked them if they could save me some chicken skins because they sell boneless breasts and thighs and all that stuff. Who would want that? I have no idea. But people do. And so they said they would save me some. They saved me 5 pounds. And so I broke it up into smaller amounts. Here's 1.5 pounds. There's no way it's going to fit on here. I will probably do about 3 trays, I'm guessing. But I'm just going to show you the one and what I do. So this is like a large cookie sheet. I'm laying a piece of parchment on top for easier cleanup. And then I just basically take each skin, and I mean, they're all different shapes and sizes. So I just spread them out close together because they will shrink a lot. And then I season them. So let's talk about that. When I was in Texas last month, I drove with my son, and it was a long way there and back, but we passed through Salt Lake City, Utah, and stopped at the Redmond store. Now I think they might have more than one store, I'm not sure, but I knew about that one. And actually I have a picture, I'll show you that picture above. So while there, I already had the cherry salt, but I got another one because I really like it. Hickory salt I have. These are smoked salts. And I also have the seasoning salt. So I'm going to try all 3, but if you get a chance to stop in at their store in Salt Lake City, do so because they have so many products there. They don't just sell salt, they also sell clay items like mineral clay toothpaste and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. That's a big piece. So you just lay them out as best you can, wherever they will fit. Now you can also fry these up in a pan and make schmaltz. And I've done that on YouTube, so I'll link that video below. And what I did with the schmaltz is I made mayonnaise. You can basically use any animal fat to make mayonnaise. So I'll put those links below. Okay, here's my first tray. I am going to just, oops, I had the big one open. Okay.
Don't do that.
Make sure it is set to the proper sprinkle setting as opposed to the dump setting. You want a light touch. And let's use hickory on this other one. And I'll save this one for my next tray. So this is going to go into the oven. I'm going to do another tray. It looks like I could maybe get away with 2 trays. We'll see. And then we'll see you back here when all is done. Okay, so I took these out of the air fryer at the 30-minute mark, and they have cooled down. So now I am going to take them out. They should just slip out like magic. I am going to show you now how I make the little toasties. The secret is to slice them thin. Now you can do this in a toaster oven or in the air fryer, just like I'm going to do right now. I'm going to turn this on, set it to air fry, turn it to 400. I think I like about 6 minutes. I like them nice and crispy. So the real secret to this is slicing it super thin. That's why you want to let this cool down. So here's the texture of it. What this reminds me of is something that my parents used to buy called party bread. And little tiny loaves of bread, you would put it on a deli tray. with little cheeses and meats and things like that. This is like that, except that it's carnivore. So you see how thin I'm slicing them? Okay, so super thin, as thin as you can. Too thin isn't good. That one might fall apart, I don't know. I don't know how many exactly are gonna fit in here, but we will see. But yeah, I just love these. You can get them, they're almost like Melba toast or, you know, well, or that party bread, except for toasted. And you can put sardines on them, or you can put, you know, cheese and pickles or something. I mean, it's perfect for a little party tray, or just if you miss those crunchy little toasties, you can put anything you want on them, really. I just want to mention that, and maybe I didn't mention this, and maybe if you are newish to my channel, you may not have realized when I said I was using flour, because last time I made bread with this, I got some comments from some very upset people telling me that there was no flour in carnivore and that, you know, I was doing something bad by making bread for people, and I don't think they realized that the flour has 2 ingredients. In the case of beef, it's grass-fed beef and Redmond's real salt. It is not actual flour with like a grain flour or wheat or anything like that. It is 100% made from meat, and that is why it says carnivore up here. So I'm not trying to lead people astray or anything like that. It is flour made from meat. This is 100% carnivore. So I just needed to point that out because they were quite upset. Let's put it in the air fryer now. Okay, so this is about the perfect amount. So it looks like about 10 slices fit in there. I mean, if I shoved it together, maybe I could fit 12, but I'm putting in 10. So we'll let that go for the 6 minutes. And while that's going, I am going to bring over the chicken skins. I had 2 trays and I baked these at 375 for about an hour, but I kept checking them because some, depending on how thin they are, or thick, or how much fat is attached to the piece of skin, they're gonna bake for different times, so I can't give you an exact time. My advice is to just keep checking it. They shrunk to a fraction of their size. Eventually I took my 2 full trays and just combined it on one for the last few minutes. Let me just grab a plate. I'm going to put it out on this plate, drain it a bit on a paper towel. They are crispy and crunchy. I have to admit, I have already had a couple because they were just so good.
Who can resist this?
I've got all the seasonings mixed up now. I don't know which chicken skins have what seasoning, but everything I tried so far was amazing. And I'm going to just move this out of the way. The other thing I got was this jar of schmaltz. So with that, you can either use it for cooking. It will turn white when you put it in the fridge. It's softer than other animal fats, and I will probably try the mayonnaise with this. I have made schmaltz mayonnaise before, but I haven't tried it with the method that Chris from Chris Cooking Nashville uses so that it stays nice and soft. So I'm gonna try it with that. It'll be nice, I think. Anyways, let's see. I want to give these a try so you can hear the crunch. Here we go. I mean, it's like carnivore chips or something. I don't know, so good. Like just super crunchy, salty, but yet inside there's just a little bit of, you know, you can tell that there was some fat attached to it and that's gotten all crispy. Oh, look at Teddy. Okay. See if I can find a piece on the end that Doesn't have too much salt. Who wants to give this a try? Okay. All right. There you go. What good dogs. That's it though. These are mine and the people it's gonna be hard not to eat these before Monday. There, I have another bag in the freezer. I might have to take them out, but I will try to restrain myself. So we have 8 seconds here. I'm gonna move these out of the way. Boy, the kitchen's a mess today. Okay, look at these. They are brown and they are going to be crunchy. When they curl up a little bit like that, you know that you've toasted them nicely. And you don't have to flip them in the air fryer because of the air circulation. But aren't these going to be fantastic on a charcuterie board or deli tray of some kind, where you can, pick up your meats and cheeses. Let me just, I'll cut a regular one so you can see how much they browned and shrunk. Okay, I'm just gonna take a bite out of it so you can hopefully hear that it's crunchy. The dogs like this as well. And it is made of meat. So all we're waiting for now is the pork loin. I'm gonna clear this all away, and that will be ready in a little while, and I'll show you what it's like. We'll slice it up and we're done. Okay, so I have retrieved the pork loin from the sous vide over there, and the last step is to sear it. You don't have to if you're just using it in salads or in another recipe, but I just like to have it sliced, and I think it looks better, tastes better when it's seared. Since I have the air fryer out that I've already been using, I'm going to do that in here. I'm gonna air fry it for 5 minutes, and that should give it a crust. And I'm just gonna let it go at 390, turn it down to 5 minutes. I'm going to be putting it in there with the fat side up. Okay, there we go. That looks, whoops, I think I need a fork. That looks pretty good. Let's see if I can remove it safely. There we are. Okay. Okay, let's cut this up, or at least a couple of slices so we can see what we have here. Okay, so I think that's enough to give it a try, and the dogs are sensing something is happening. So we will be sure to share. You guys will love it. Okay, so that worked. It is a fully cooked pork loin roast, not tenderloin, but still good. It's still tender because of the sous vide. This will be used for lots of recipes, possibly some little mini sandwiches. This is for my Monday to put on my charcuterie board, although I have lots of this, so I might have some of those anyways over the next couple of days. So I hope you got some ideas for things that you can eat when you're on carnivore, even though they're not beef. Doesn't always have to be beef, and I am trying to clean out my freezer, so this is going to help. I'll see you in the next video.